Hello there, and welcome to my reaction to Ads and Video Games by Nakey Jakey, a channel that I've actually heard about before, but I've never seen a single video from. So I'm curious what kind of content he does. It seems like he's not doing it. Alright, goodbye voice. I guess I'm getting sick, I don't know. He's doing content not that often, judging by his channel. That this video came out a month ago, which is not too bad, but the video before that was 11 months ago. So, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he just took a break, and it was it does jump. There was a few 2 years ago, but then a few 3 years ago, and then 4. I don't know. Maybe there's more chance. I don't know what he does. I don't know anything about him at all. So I want to dive into his latest video, outside of some kind of music video. I guess he does that as well. But let's check out ads in video games, shall we? Like, comment, subscribe, become a member. Let's begin.
Advertisements.
God, it's so loud.
AKA that thing you see everywhere, all of the time. No matter where you go, and no matter what you do, ads can and will find you, Brian. That is a certainty in life, along with death and taxes and that thing when the waiter says, "Enjoy your food," and you say, "I love you too, senpai." In video games, the beautiful, magical world of escapism and wonder that is video
You can't escape from ads.
Sadly, no exception. Video games have been tainted with the foul odor and slimy snail trail of product placement and advertising for many a fortnight. Pun intended, son. Unfriended. But is all advertising in video games bad? Are some ads for good and not just greed? How did we get here? And where the hell are we going, Brian? Dude, you're driving. Just
What the fuck is Brian?
Tasking is not one of your starting attributes, Brian. The year is 1978 AD. Advertising. Scott Adams releases Adventureland, a text-based game with no graphics, and even worse, no kill streaks. And yet, Adventureland holds one of the earliest examples of in-game advertising, an ad for Scott's next, upcoming, even sexier game, Pirate Adventure.
Ooh.
Shiver me timbers. Look out, Sea of Thieves. Scott be like, yo, Microsoft Sea of Thieves nuts can fit in your mouth. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's the 80s and product placement is already in everything. But also, AP is starting to show up in the world of video games as well, primarily in the form of the advert game, which is exactly what it sounds like. A video game built solely around advertising a single product or company.
The brand
One of the first
shit.
advert games is in 1983 with Tapper prominently featuring Budweiser and sold to be played in bars, but nobody really gives a shit about the product placement because they're drunk, but also the game is just really fun. So fun that a year later the game was rebranded as Root Beer Tapper and sold in regular arcades for children too. So now all the kids are like, "Hey bud, why'd you put this A&W, man? I'm shit hammered." Now the big video game crash of 1983 would slow things down for a bit, but the late 80s and 90s saw a huge resurgence of advert games. Talking about Donald Land over in Japan in 1988, because over there Ronald McDonald is often known as Donald McDonald, which I am just enamored by that. Capcom published.
As far as I know, it's because Ronald McDonald is a bit more difficult to pronounce for the Japanese, for the Japanese language, really, for the way they speak.
In 1990, who, while not as immediately recognizable as our beloved Don Bon Jovi over here, Noid was once the iconic mascot of none other than Domino's Pizza. Fun fact about Yo Noid is that it's actually just a reskin of this Japanese game that I will let my anime fans help me pronounce. That's about a ninja boy who rescues children who have been kidnapped. Now,
well,
I don't know
obviously.
but when I get kidnapped, first thing I do is order Domino's Pizza. Cool Spot drops in 1993, and honestly, for a game where its entire lore and existence,
I think I actually played this one as a kid.
Red spot on the 7-Up logo.
And coincidentally, I liked 7-Up a lot.
The game gets pretty good
More than
people actually kind of like
any
it. There's
other
a closet behind me in this
soda.
apartment, and I almost just fully fell into it. Chex Quest drops in 1996, bundled with certain boxes of Chex cereal, and is clearly just a non-violent reskin of Doom, which is kind of genius. But disclaimer: if you have
I've seen someone play these games.
corn or wheat, this game may as well be Doom. What the fuck, Brian? I'm free. Why did you make me play
Might have been
level,
AVGN.
Brian? You're a toad. You've always been a toad, and you're gonna die a toad, Brian. Pepsi Man drops in 1999, only in
Who doesn't know
Japan,
Pepsi Man? Yeah.
Shout out Donald, and I couldn't even begin to tell you what Pepsi Man is advertising. You know, I'm looking around this whole screen and I am just lost. There are so many of these advert games that I'm sure some of you remember that just kept going and going into the early 2000s. Kind of goes without saying, but obviously these companies are
They
dropping
died out, though,
advert
the
games to
games.
try and boost sales of
That's
their
good.
product, right? The question is it actually working? The answer, much like my vision through these shitty glasses, is a little unclear, but it seems to be kind of a case-by-case type deal. Chex claims that Chex Quest boosted their
Depends on the
sales
game,
by
maybe.
295% at the time, which kind of makes sense because you're getting a free game bundled with a box of cereal, and that game is basically Doom. I mean, that's super smart. But then in the case of something like Pepsi Man, where you have to go out of your way and purchase a game with your hard-earned
That's
money,
not good
it
marketing.
is a literal walking advertisement. Yeah, you wonder why that didn't sell that well, Einstein. Maybe stick to handing police officers cans and fixing all
please
of our
don't.
problems. Wow, does that guy ever shut up or what? Hi, I'm Jakey, and Jakey, attorneys at law. Have you fallen victim to a crappy internet browser? Does that crappy-ass browser fail to meet your
What
needs?
are the
Do you ever think
law?
about me, Linda? Please pick up the phone. I just want to talk to the children. If you're like me, you love to have a bunch of stuff going on in the background while you're gaming. But oopsie doopsie,
Yeah, I
mama made
do.
a poopsie, that Google Chrome web browser you're using to watch that video in the background sure is hogging up a lot of your CPU and RAM's power levels. What the heck? And now you're
No,
getting
really.
frame drops and lag
It's okay.
from that fast-paced anime game you're always playing and won't shut the hell up about? Now that just will not do. Your Honor objects, sustained, overruled. Go to jail, get a job. Off. Enter Opera GX, a browser with the ability to limit the amount of CPU and RAM usage that you're willing to let your browser hog up while gaming so it doesn't slow you down. A browser with the ability to limit network bandwidth usage as well to help eliminate performance issues in online games. All useful tools placed within the GX control panel near the top left of the browser. With Opera GX, you are entitled to all sorts of wonderful customization, including, but not limited to, deliciously tasteful themes and fully customizable color combinations, along with the option for light, dark, and auto modes. But let's be real, just put it in dark mode.
Yeah, put it in dark.
Mode is the best. All options located within the
Save your
Center
eyes
button in the
some
top
troubles.
right corner. Speaking of corners, the GX corner in the top left is your one-stop shop for all things video games. Oh, you want to keep track of upcoming game releases? Oh, you want to stay up to date on current gaming news? Oh, you want to see all the best current gaming deals? Oh, you want an updated and curated list of available free games to download for free, aka what us lawyers call a good deal, buy, sell. If you download Opera GX using my special link down below, your GX corner will also have the exclusive feature of showing my recent 12 uploads. So you'll always be up to date when I upload a new video.
12, that's whole
Like every 10 months.
2
or so.
years.
If you think Jakey,
Okay.
Jakey, attorneys at law can help remedy your web browser problems today, use my link below to download Opera GX. Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video, and I guess now we'll get back to whatever the hell Dr. Dumbass is talking about this time. The history of video games, history of Bakugans. I ought to sue his ass, throw him in the slam house. But what if your PP isn't just
Okay.
in a blatant advert game? What if you
No, not my
switch your
PP.
PP into like an actual legit fully priced real video game? Well, that started happening, like, a lot in the 90s and 2000s. Sports games are a huge one, with games like Madden,
Yeah.
FIFA, 1080, and Tony Hawk.
It
all
makes
having
sense since
relevant
the
product
sports
placement
themselves
in
are
each
sponsored a
kind
lot.
of sport. Same with racing games like Need for Speed or Gran Turismo, showcasing real car brands and real car parts. Same with Croc
True.
2 advertising fucking little guys. I should have just said Crocs. It would have been way better if I just said Crocs. Damn it, Brian. Stick to the script. So far, all of my non-advert game examples have been pretty tame, and there's actually a solid argument that product placement could actually add to the immersion of that type of game.
Yeah, I would agree
Then it
with
starts
that.
to get a little trickier.
In
Crazy Taxi
those
drops in
games.
1999 and is one of the first blatant examples of product placement in a non-advert game, non-sports, non-racing game, but the immersion argument is still potentially there. Yeah, brands like Pizza Hut and KFC pop up in this game a lot, but also, if you were a taxi driver,
I mean, yeah.
you see brands like KFC and Pizza Hut, like as a passenger, it's kind of hilarious.
If the game is set in the real world, I think odds are
to go to
fine.
Pizza Hut by yourself, like just get the pizza delivered, but you get the point. Crazy
but
Taxi
it's
marks a point
case-by-case
I
basis,
think,
in my
where
opinion.
The immersion argument behind product placement in video games really only does get trickier and trickier. I'm just going to run through some examples real quick, and you let me know what you think down in the comments, gamers. Make sure to ring that bell and be notified once a year. In Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic's shoes are officially soap-branded shoes. You know, like the shoes that you put on, you can like slide down rails and get all soapy and shit. Alright, go off. That's kind of hard. Fucking Shadow got the foams on. In Enter the Matrix, apparently
he has rollerblades.
in this universe is Powerade. Maybe because it comes in green and can just kind of fit the whole Matrix.
That's already no.
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, a game all about remaining undetected and slinking around in the shadows. Ooh, you know what would really help you to remain undetected is if you just fucking reeked of Axe body spray and Airwaves gum and your Nokia phone was like... That last game is notable because it was one of the first to utilize dynamic advertising, meaning that it uses the internet...
Okay, if it's not forcing you to do things like... What one of the games was before? Yeah, the Matrix game where it's like, oh, the main character of this Matrix game drinks Powerade. Look at that, kids. Go buy yourself a box. Like, that's a bit too much. But if it is just somewhere, it's not like forcing you, like, hey, it's not Tom Clancy's. What is his name? Hey, Splinter Cell main character. I'm calling you on your Nokia phone through your AT&T data provider or whatever. That will be too much, I think, in my humble opinion. What do you think? I don't know.
To change what ads you see in-game depending on your time of day and region. Ubisoft was one of the first to do this type of chicanery, but definitely not the last. Thanks, Ubisoft. I love you. Please don't hurt my family, please. It was Brian. Brian did it. And surprise, surprise. Guess what other companies started doing this in the 2000s as well?
Yeah.
No.
Obviously.
Not EA. Couldn't be precious EA. Madden, Need for Speed, even the skate games got in on it with different dynamic ads appearing on like billboards and buses and shit. But my favorite example by far
Again, that's
is in
okay.
Burnout Paradise, where in 2008 they ran political ads for Obama. Hey kids, when you're not
that's
your fellow Americans at 200 miles per hour,
I don't remember those. I played the game a bit.
Beer in the vending machine. Now going back to that whole
That's a bit too much.
immersion debate, that conversation really only does get trickier and trickier as gaming grows bigger and bigger. Obviously, when it's an advert game that has like the fucking king himself on the front of the box, that's one thing. Like, you know what you're getting into if you buy that. But when the king shows up in your $60 game that you just purchased with your hard-earned paycheck, that hits a little bit different. I'm not saying it's
beat the shit out of him.
necessarily bad. Like, it could be funny or whatever, but
Yeah.
it is different. Like when
It
I
is,
skipped
yes, it
school
is different.
To drop $60 on Uncharted 3, and I boot up the multiplayer just to be assaulted by the smell of Subway bread reeking up my home. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That Subway bread has a very specific fucking tang to it. Like its pH balance is all fucked up. Alan Wake is a better example for us to discuss as far as the immersion.
I've ate Subway like twice in my life. It's not in my city.
Remedy-made game. Okay, I love Remedy. Max Payne is like my favorite game.
Twice, maybe too much, maybe once.
In theory, having brands like Energizer and Verizon show up in your realistically portrayed world is potentially fine, especially when a main mechanic of the game is using batteries for your flashlight. But when these very specific ads repeat themselves over and over, and you get an achievement for sitting down and watching an entire ad on a fake TV in a fake
That's
universe.
overstepping.
Alan, wake the f up. We're going back to GameStop. We're returning this game and we're buying Yahtzee. I don't give a shit anymore. We're getting Yahtzee for the 360. I think an argument for immersive PP with more solid ground is the Yakuza series. Now, I've never played these games, but based on what I've
I played a little bit, and I apologize for not continuing yet.
Brands in a much more subtle and potentially world-building way. And I'm not trying to get preachy and say you should feel one way or the other about this. I'm just saying I think if you're going to argue for immersion, there's more of a substantial argument to be made with this game series. Versus Kojima just straight up putting brands like Doritos and Mountain Dew and Axe body spray into the Japanese version of Peace Walk with his...
Like in GTAs and Yakuzas and, I don't know, Watch Dogs, it would all make sense. But in some kind of made-up universe, that will be a bit off-putting.
reasoning being to keep things fresh and to surprise players. Like, okay, dude, how about you focus on surprising us with another two-dimensional character?
Lose my
giant
vision, what
moves,
happens?
breathe through her skin, and not a fucking ad for Ride with Norman Reedus Sundays in a game where I'm supposed to be taking Mr. Reedus seriously.
This is just censored
Sam
something?
Porter Bridges, get it? His last name is Bridges because he's gonna bridge together the fucking U.S. I don't mean to just roast Kojima, okay? I own every game. I have art books. I have a huge crush on Sniper Wolf, not that one, the one with the polygonal setup. But come on, if you even think about going in the comments and arguing that the inclusion of Monster Energy or Ride with Norman Reedus Sundays adds to the immersion of this universe, or is a fourth wall breaking move from an auteur, you just don't understand. Alan, wake the fuck up. The Patriots are behind all of this. The lale lule lule lale lule. But you want to know what really changed advertising in video games? Mobile games. That shit done went and changed the.
Also, I feel like I'm saying that a lot of, like, in GTA, blah blah blah, whatever I said, ads are fine. I'm not sure exactly if they add to immersion. Because even if the game is set into our reality, like some kind of simulator game, which is like just exactly real life simulator, and it'll have ads like KFC buildings or whatever. I don't know if it adds to immersion because it's still a game. It's still not a real thing. If it was there or if it wasn't there, I myself am not immersed because of the ads. I don't really care. If I'll see an ad in GTA that correlates with the ad in the real world, I'll be like, alright, it's there. And if I don't see, I'll be like, I won't even think about it. It's not gonna change my opinion about that at all. But when it's like forced like that, look at the main character drinking Monster. That's a bit too far. Watch a video, watch ads to get an achievement.
And that game does even a little bit well, you could potentially make a lot of money. The Flappy Bird guy claimed he was making up to $50K a day when that game was blowing up, and then
he got scared.
Hated his life from all the mean messages and attention he got, which is really sad. And a lot of the time, the ads in these free mobile games are just
the game wasn't even that good or that hard.
90% of the time don't even fucking exist, or are just like really weird or like really sexual, like an off-brand ass Costco render of SpongeBob.
Yeah, or using stuff that's not theirs, like using God of War or GTA footage for their game, which has nothing to do with it.
No one can get past level 5 without coming.
Okay, the way it's making some letters, it made me think that it was in Russian. Like this. Looks like a Russian D.
Can get past level 5 without coming.
I just almost had a brain aneurysm.
That's a different type of game. We all know what type of game I'm talking about.
Make sure to choose your color of cum.
And then surprise, surprise, the free-to-play model makes
Red.
its way over to consoles with games like Fortnite, constantly having different promotions or events like the trailer premiere for Tenet or an Ariana Grande concert. And a lot of that stuff is actually pretty cool and like well integrated, and because the game is free, nobody really cares that much. Like, credit where it's due to Fortnite.
No one paid for the game.
Kind of wins. Well, except the children who are preyed upon with their marketing to spend money.
Yeah, why does that guy have another silhouette behind him? Is that Freddy?
No? Spider-Man. But here's the kicker. First of all, I'm going to take this off because it's really hot and it's like impossible to see anything through these. So I'm just going to go soccer mom style for the rest of the video. You know your favorite companies, you know your best friends? Well, they started incorporating those same business practices in the free-to-play model of in-game microtransactions and advertising in not so free video games, aka $60 fully priced video games.
Yeah.
Like at one point, NBA 2K and UFC 4 had straight up mid-roll ads that played during downtime or even interrupted gameplay. You know, like a mobile game does with the Peter Griffin grandma situation. Also, 2K assaults you with microtransactions like every 5 seconds, so maybe just don't play that game and just go play basketball outside. Like, yeah! Yeah! And unlike the subtle plug that Scott Adams did back in 1978,
I'd rather not.
modern games love to remind you that their hot, sexy new game is out too, and you should really go out and buy that one. But when that adds even one step or loading screen between me and getting to play the game that I actually want to play, my patience runs out faster than Brian on track and field day.
For fuck's sake.
That kid is dumb as hell, but he is quick. Earlier this year, Sony and Microsoft both announced that they're streamlining the process of integrating ads into free-to-play games on their respective marketplaces, similar to how ads are integrated into games on your iPhone through the App Store. Now, in an absolute best-case scenario of how these ads get implemented, hardworking game devs getting more money for the blood, sweat, and fears they dump into their indie game or whatever, while ads are subtly placed on billboards or benches or used in like a immersive world-building way like the Yakuza series, that's fine.
That's fine, yes, I agree.
But after going over everything I've
Medped jump scare.
I think we all know that's probably not how it's gonna shake out. And not to be a depressing Darren, but if history repeats itself, all signs
I'll try to be
point
optimistic
towards
about it.
companies slowly inserting more and more ads in their paid AAA games too, because again, look at how much fucking money ads make on mobile games. You seriously think those AAA bigwig execs aren't noticing that shit? Have you heard the way these lizard people talk? They already tried doing it with those sports games. It's just like microtransactions. Years ago, nobody thought they would ever put that shit in a fully priced $60, or I guess now $70 paid game like Gran Turismo 7, but money talks. And unfortunately, Activision Blizzard and EA and all these companies learned to speak money on Duolingo, because in 2021, Activision Blizzard made over $5 billion on microtransactions alone. Billions with a B and an I and a T for Ted. And just like with microtransactions, gamers are gonna push back and complain, but at the end of the day, a lot of you, mostly children probably, which is really unfortunate that children are frequently the ones preyed upon with this shit. A lot of us stupid gamers are still gonna buy the fucking thing, because the day I can't live out my Steph Curry power fantasy is the day I alley-oop off this mortal coil, so help me God. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Not to end this video on a depressing note, but I guess my only real message that you should maybe take away from this is don't pre-order games. Just don't. I've done it. You've done it.
I've done it.
Wanted to play that game the second it comes out, but honestly, just
I didn't do it for that. It's behind me right there.
To see if A, the game even runs properly, like it was advertised,
But I bought it,
or B, doesn't have
like
a bunch
3
of
months ago.
shitty business practices implemented that completely ruin the experience. People should be paid for their incredibly hard work, 100%. But also, as a consumer, when you buy something, you should know what you're paying for, right? Like when you watch a video for free on YouTube, it would probably make sense for that person to run an ad on that video to make them
ads and sponsors, yeah, sure.
Cool stuff like a jet ski, right? Like you would want them to buy a jet ski even though they live in the city and they definitely couldn't afford or fit a jet ski and maintain that jet ski, right? You would want that, right? Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Happy we could get on the same page, Brian. I appreciate that, man. Thanks again to Opera GX for sponsoring this video, and Jakey and Jakey Attorneys at Law. Thanks you for watching this video. Godspeed,
Jesus Christ.
and good night and Godspeed. And Linda, please call me using your cell phone. I really want to talk to the kids.
Brian jump scare. Sure. I do think that there are situations where the ads are fine, as I was saying multiple times before, and there are situations that ads are too much, but does it matter when, for the developer, when they, let's say they sell a bit less games, but they got money because they put a bit more ads. And because of those ads, people are not buying games, but they got paid more because they put Norman Reedus drinking out of a Monster can into their game. Not a lot of people who would be like, no, they have a Monster ad, so I'm not gonna buy it. But there will be some who do. And I think there's no negatives for the company for taking their money, for taking the money and just putting some kind of a weird ad just in the middle of their gameplay. Now we're crying about whatever ads are doing now, ads and microtransactions, but I hope that it's not gonna go worse, but it's probably will. It always can get worse. That's a line I'll never forget, whatever I heard it. But it can always get worse with ads, microtransactions, whatever it is. And we, as a consumer, cannot do anything about it most of the time. Sometimes, sure, the outcry could be strong enough that people are not gonna buy it, like it was with Star Wars Battlefront 2, when they added microtransactions that actually gave you power, right? Like if you can buy a better gun than the character he normally uses, or that you can get for free, or is before you can get it for free. Whatever was the case, there was a giant outcry about it, and they actually changed that. But only probably because of the size of the outcry, that they're not gonna make it even selling this kind of game in the state that it's in, even by just having the microtransactions in it, since no one's gonna buy the game to buy more shit in it. So they'd rather changed. I think microtransactions, the more I say, the harder it becomes. That's what she said. The microtransactions are still in the game, but not in the same way they were in the release. So is it a win? On all technicality? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe go fuck yourself. I don't know. But what I do know is that I appreciate you watching. Thank you. And goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.